What's up guys, this is an odd time for me to be uploading a video, but just sitting here having a look at price action. Now we've got the Apple earnings coming out. They come out at the end of the US session, which is 3 hours away from the time that I'm filming this video. And I just wanted to put this video out there because of current price action and just kind of what's going on at the moment. And because my videos this week have been a little bit fast paced, I kind of just wanted to slow down a bit and take a bit of a wider look view at what is going on with Bitcoin. I've got this stuff on my chart for the smaller time frames, but I'm just going to remove it all so that we can take a look at the bigger time frame and just show you what's piquing my interest basically. So I'm going to start on the 4 hour, and what I want to note here, what I'm really sort of more focusing in on is just this section here of the 4 hour time frame. And the reason for that is because here we had a pretty clear head and shoulder type pattern, and then we fell away. So all of this on a 4 hour time frame would just be drop level 1, and this happened around 20th of April. Oh, by the way, sorry I don't have my camera on. This really is last minute and I'm kind of not really appropriate for viewing right now. But yeah, I just really wanted to get this out there. So we're a bit of a mess right now. But anyway, we've got this drop. This retracement was really a little bit scary, but nonetheless, it was a retracement because it did not come back into where the trapped traders are at that nearly 31K level. And that was an extremely volatile time. In the end, it did lead to a lower high. Then we've had this other drop here. Now on the higher time frame, so on the 4 hour time frame, when we look at just this price action that is happening right here and draw fibs on that, what we can see at this point in time is that price has wicked into and kind of at this point in time it's rejected the 61.8 fib level. And in addition to that, in that spike up there, it took out 2 liquidation levels that we were watching. So I'm going to get rid of those now because those are now wiped out. But it also did not come back into this 4 hour vector right here. One thing that does kind of concern me about this is that usually if you're building, like, I guess the inside of it could potentially turn out to be an M formation on a lower time frame, but usually if this is going to build more to the downside, you will see 3 attempts to push price up before it goes down. Even though it's looking like it's going to just drop away from here, I would not be surprised if we do come up one more time into this zone and then down. Now there's a couple of concerning things about this because we've got liquidation levels above price that are fairly decent, that in order for price to reach them, it would have to then break this vector and start, going for the next unrecovered vector. They're sitting at 29,792, 30,020 and 30,459. However, the market maker could just lead those behind and come for lower ones, and that is what makes this price action really quite difficult. It's kind of like when we're looking at higher time frames, we're in just a little bit of a squeeze pattern, like if you zoom out on it, we've got higher lows and lower highs, and it's kind of just squeezing to a point that should eventually break out. But what will be the thing that causes it to break out? Because it's usually a news event, and the next news event that we have coming up is going to be the Apple earnings reports, because everything else I'm pretty sure is done now. So if we look here, we had FOMC is done with now. We had unemployment claims is over and done with now. And we've just got the unemployment rate tomorrow. So anyway, according to the 4 hour time frame, as long as we remain clear of this area of interest, which lies between 29,180 to 29,870, I would expect that we're going to break to the downside. The only thing that would make me hold off on that is if we started to come and eat into this with strength, with vector candles, because then I'm going to believe that we're coming for the higher liquidation levels. If that doesn't happen, then I actually think we're going to go down to the downside. Now, I do have in the heat maps, we do have buy orders back at that low, and look at this. I mean, at this point in time, 28,200 and also 28K is where some buy orders are. But look here at how they're shorting here from 28,950. So yeah, I do think we're going to break to the downside, but then you've got to think of the timing, and is there enough time for this to break down into that zone before the Apple earnings, because it's a potential trap move. Apple earnings come out and it shoots to the upside. That is possible, because if that were to happen, I believe that this would complete the 3-level drop on the 4-hour time frame. Where it drops to, I'm not sure. It could break right through the 28K. For all we know, we have to wait and see. But those are my thoughts there. When we go down to a lower time frame, now that we have that higher time frame image in mind, at this point in time on the 1-hour time frame, we've maintained this retail trend line. And that's what makes me think there's possibly a trap going on. Which way the trap is going, I'm not 100% sure, because what would have to happen is we would have to have a fake bounce off this trend line, because then it would be 1, 2, 3 touches to the trend line, which is where retail goes long. So it would have to initially bounce around there to get retail to go long, and then probably break to the downside and come for these buy orders down here. Again, the same thing applies. As long as we're clear of the area of interest, I'm feeling bearish, and I'm feeling like this trend line should break. But it just, on the 1-hour time frame, it looks like the ultimate trap for the 1, 2, 3 touches to the trend line. You know, newbie traders are taught 3 touches confirms a trend line, and you long off that. So, you know, it's looking that way right now. Now, I've been trading this week the very low time frames because it's been a high news event week. And when it's a high news event week, you kind of just got to take your profits really frequently. Otherwise, you know, you kind of get trapped into positions and there's just way too much volatility. But this is basically the setup I've been trading on the lower time frames this week. This move here I talked about last time I was on YouTube, and at the time I did not think it was a trapping volume formation. Turns out that it was, but at the time I didn't pick it. I did long off this because on the 5-minute time frame it was a bullish engulfing, and so I did take a long position off it. So I was long anyway, but I was doubtful of my position and just looking for a reason to get out, to be honest, to take my profit and get out. But now that we can look back, we can see that this actually was the trapping volume formation, and it is lacking the volume, which was why I was skeptical of it. But it played out as it's meant to anyway, and that took us into the level 1 rise. This whole thing here is the retracement after that. This whole thing here is level 2 rise. And then earlier today, as I was talking to the guys in Discord, when we were in this movement here, I said, you know, I expect another rise. Now, this could be it. It could also be a stop hunt, but I do think this was the level 3 rise. Level 3 doesn't have to go too far. It just came up and spiked the initial high of the day, but it closed back underneath. So you got to keep that in mind. And now we've had 1, 2, 3 hits within one drop. This is the retracement that rejected off the 50 EMA. So, and it's also the right timing for midweek reversal being Thursday. So we've had this, if I zoom out, we've basically had the whole model play out this week, where we had, let me go back to the weekend. We had the weekend trap sideways consolidation. We had the fake move to the upside to stop out the traders who open positions on the weekend. Then you have the 1-day trend the other way that takes out the people who longed the fake move. Then you go into the real 3-day trend. 1, 2, 3 is today. We're due for midweek reversal. And it does look like we've had 1 retracement. There should be 2 retracement. 3 should take us into these buy orders. And all of that, I think, I would be very confident about if we weren't about to close US in 2.5 hours and go into the dead gap zone. The very fact that news is being released during the dead gap zone is such a trap I can't even describe, because volume is going to be lower during the dead gap zone. The highest manipulation of the day happens in the dead gap zone, and it's just asking for trouble really to trade it if you're not confident without knowing, you know, what is going to come out of the Apple earnings. So if that wasn't coming out, I would say we've had drop 1, we've had the retracement, we're going down another 2 times. Whether that continues to play out after Apple earnings, I honestly can't say at this point in time. So it might be better to just leave it and watch. But really, this video isn't about telling you what to trade. It's more about just explaining how the levels have worked this week so far, and here we go. Looks like we're going to get level 2 drop. Now, let's see if this breaks the trend line, hopefully while I'm on the video. But it's more about just, I wanted to sort of slow down a little bit and just show you the model really, because sometimes when you're in the midst of it and you're trading it, you know, you feel confused about about the levels and whatnot, but when you actually go back and look over things, you realize where you are in the cycle. The cycle is a 3-level or 3-day move, and we had a level, a level, a level over 1, 2, 3 days. So it's all happening as it's meant to. It's not always going to give you an M or W. The M and Ws are the typical reversal setup, but you've got to know all the formations. This one here, trapping volume formation, is one. This one here, stop hunt reversal, is another. So this week we're just not getting the typical reversal signals, but we are getting the typical levels so far, but this may change during Apple. So we'll see what happens here, but heat maps is giving me confidence in that simply because of where these buy orders are. Looks like we've got a squeeze happening here now, trying to hold price between these two levels. But if they want to dump it, they'll dump it back down to this 28 to 28.2k region, and there is an unrecovered vector in that region. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. If that does happen, if we do get our 3 levels over today and tomorrow, I'll be closing the trade there. I'm not going to hold it into the weekend. I would have considered this to be the model playing out as it's meant to for the entire week this week, which is weekend trap, fake move week beginning, 1-day trend, 3-day trend, midweek reversal, 3-level trend. Let's hope. Let's see what happens. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. If you are looking to trade things like this, my preferred exchange is OKX. They are the 2nd largest crypto exchange out there, so their volume is good, the platform is good, it's easy to use, all that kind of stuff. So if you are looking for an exchange to trade on, be sure to check them out, do your own research. If you're happy with them, there is a link in the description of this video to get yourself an ongoing 15% discount off your trading fees, which really adds up over time. But besides that, I also want to look at the liquidation levels. I want to see if I can add a 3rd confluence to this level for downside. So I'm just going to go to high block now. I'm going to run this over a 7-day period because we are at the end of the week. So I want to know who's had their trades open all week and where their liquidation levels are. We do have 28,050, but we have a bigger level here at 27.5, which is interesting. So we may even break that 28k level if it turns out to be a big dump. But look at this building up here at 29,500. Now, at some point, they're going to come for that. Could it be a big manipulation week in the dead gap zone after Apple earnings? Yup, 100% it could be. But we have to wait and see for that. And if it is, it's not tradable in my opinion, because it's just not following in the correct order that the levels should be. So it's not a matter of trading whatever you can for the sake of making money. It's a matter of sticking to your own rules. So if I believe, which I believe, that we're in drop level 2 now potentially, but this was definitely one retracement, then I shouldn't be looking for longs because I'm looking for longs in the wrong place. So yeah, even if we do get that spike up to 29.5, it's in the wrong place. So that's not something I would trade. It's just something I want to be aware of. But the 28k and even this one at 27.5, that more has my interest for downside for now. Then if we get into that zone, reassess from there. So those are my thoughts. It's been an epic week of trading actually so far. I nailed this one as a scalp. I nailed this short. I bag flipped here long and I've bag flipped here short. So, and then I did all the same on Ethereum. So it's actually been a great week of trading. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash up that like button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Are we going to bounce off this trend line, or are we going to break it and head down to a 28k level? Either way, if you're interested in learning this method in full, check out the links in the description of this video for details on how you can do that. And don't forget to grab the link for OKX if you are looking for an exchange to trade on. See you guys soon.